Today we're going to be doing the storyline of Wolverine Rot. Now, this is actually a storyline that continues the Wolverine Goes to Hell storyline that we started years ago here at Comicstorian, but recently when I was cleaning up the channel, I realized that we had left a lot of storylines hanging, and I'm going through and trying to complete a lot of those right now for you guys. So today is Wolverine vs. Dr. Rot, and trust me, this is one hell of a creepy storyline. If you're wondering where you are, well, you have found the weird part of YouTube, known as Comicstorian. We take comic books, video games, movies, and TV shows, and we break down the lore and the plot that happened within these universes so that you can enjoy them and basically catch up with them in a quick YouTube video and go buy or watch the next episode. If you enjoy this, consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to follow me over at Twitter at Comicstorian. When we last left off with Logan, he had been to hell and back. He had fought against the X-Men. He had become a Chinatown warlord, but even after all of that was finally behind him, he went to Westchester to find the Green Jay School for Higher Learning and became its headmaster. However, even with all of that taken care of, there are murders popping up around the US, all with their heads cut open and their brains removed. Over in the Bronx, the officers arrive in the scene of another killing just like the ones that happened across the states. As Lieutenant Granger and Detective Hick look at the bodies, Hicks mentions that it seems that they're in the middle of a nationwide killing spree. As Granger looks at the men having their brains removed, she says that this isn't a killing spree, it's a harvest. And another officer tells Granger that they have a witness. They said that he saw everything from up in his window. As Granger and Hicks head upstairs to see their witness, they see that it's just a young boy. The officer with the boy holds up the picture that he was drawing, and he says that the boy said it was the picture of the murderer. And on that picture is Logan. Over in a rundown bar in California, a waitress asks Logan if he's ready for another beer. He tells her that he probably shouldn't, but the waitress tells him that the beer here is so watered down another won't kill him. So as the waitress goes on asking where he's from, all Logan can see is everyone there is cut and torn to pieces. He snaps back to reality and says that's the million-dollar question. She then asks if he needs a place to stay, and after finishing his beer, he tells her, "No, I got places to be." As he walks to his car, he tells himself it's hard to resist that girl's charm. Now more than ever, he just needs to be alone. The problem is that there's blood on his hands. Blood that he doesn't remember spilling. He's been blacking out and waking up in strange places, covered in gore and reeking of death. Someone has been sending him out as their personal murder doll, and he knows who's responsible. He just needs to find them. As Logan suits up, he heads over to Dunwich Sanatorium. Dunwich Sanatorium is an abandoned mental facility where many people were changed, and changed for the worse. Hitmen, assassins were created there, and when the new management took over, things went from bad to just nightmarish. There was a time when he was a resident there. They tried to strip him of his mind. They tried to turn him into their plaything, and things didn't turn out so well for their staff. While Logan begins to go through those old files, he begins to smell something. And as he turns back, he sees a horde of fleshy brain creatures shuffling their way towards him. He says, "There must be a little gift left behind for whoever came snooping around." He pops his claws with a schnick, and he tells them, "I guess it's time that I open up my presents." The brain creatures all begin to jump into him, but Logan tears through them, spilling their blood and guts all over the place. More and more of the creatures are killed, and more appear. The next wave begins to grab everything in reach: scissors, scalpels, anything with a blade to it. The creatures jump and attack, and Logan cuts them down, but one manages to cut into his throat with a knife. He catches himself before falling over, and as he looks back at the creatures, they all begin to change shape, change into things from his past. No matter who they are, or who they were, Logan slaughters them all just the same. Meanwhile, in Westchester, at the Jean Grey School of Higher Learning, Headmaster Kitty Pryde and Rachel Summers walk through the halls trying to figure out where Logan may have gone. But as they talk, a student runs up to Kitty telling her that there have been some people here who want to see her. And as she leaves, she mentions they look kind of official. Kitty says, "Oh great," and Rachel stomps her, telling her that she knows why they're here. As Kitty goes to meet the detectives, the man tells her that he's sorry to bother, but his name is... And she stops him. "You're Special Agent Dennis Wells, right?" He tells her it's a neat trick, but if she knows that, then she can guess why he's here. With a worried look, Kitty says that she's afraid so. They think that their headmaster is a murderer. Back over at Dunwich Sanatorium, Logan leaves the building covered in the blood of the creature, setting out to find him. But as he does, a small mechanical brain watches, showing a picture of Logan carrying a file on the screen. Dr. Rot tells Nurse Fester to go ahead and turn that off. "There's so much work to do here. Watching the boob tube will just rot your brain." With the files in hand, Logan heads over to where it all began, the place where Dr. Rot was born. However, when he was born, his name wasn't Rotwell. It was Bentley Newton, and he grew up in the heart of suburban America. This used to be a place where families would come to get away from it all, but now it stinks of mildew and decay. As Logan walks into the old destroyed Newton home, the stink he smells is the worst thing that he has ever come across. But then he sees a man. The old withered man asks Logan if he's here looking for his son. Please tell him why he's here. Please say that he's come to kill him. Logan asks where is he as he looks at the old picture of Rot and his mother, and his father mentions that he couldn't shake his Rotwell heritage, too much of his mother in him. Rot's father goes on stating how he was a creature. After they put him away, they thought that they would never see him again. And then Logan notices something coming from the back of the old man's head. Wires and tubes hang out from a hole in the back of it. He goes on stating, "He came back, and he left me like this." Logan asks where he can find his son, and the old man tells him, "I'll tell you, but promise you won't leave me like this." And after a short moment, Logan's claws pop, and he sets out. Over in New York, Special Agent Wells visits Melinda Garner, Logan's ex-girlfriend. Wells says that he's sorry for having her meet them on such short notice, but it involves her boyfriend. Melinda stops him, telling him, ex-boyfriend. But if they think she's gonna talk to them, Granger then slides the drawn picture of Logan, telling her that a child watched him kill several men. Melinda says that it's not that she doesn't want to help them, but she hardly knew where he was even when they were dating. Wells leans in and tells her, "Look, this is strictly off the records, but the murders we're dealing with are involved in the extraction of brains." Melinda's face turns pale and she tells them, "Dr. Rot." Back with Logan, his search has brought him to an old abandoned house in the middle of the woods. Logan begins scouting around and then a voice calls out to him shouting, "Would you look at this?" Logan turns back to see a giant man with chainsaws for hands and a slender woman with a gun and a small man with a bunch of knives strapped to his chest. Without saying anything, Logan jumps in swinging, thinking about how he knows the large one, Charlie Chainsaws. The other two, well, he'll figure it out when he cuts them down. But just as Logan turns to Bailey Ann, she fires her shotgun, blowing off half of Logan's face. While he falls to his knees, Tater jumps on his back, stabbing into him. He leans back and tells them, "You can cut me over and over again, but I'll just keep coming back for more. Ain't that?" But before he could let him finish, Logan throws his head back, crushing Tater's face, and kicks Baylene's legs out from underneath her. As he gets up, Charlie swings his arm, sawing into the side of Logan's stomach. He screams in pain, swiping back, breaking Charlie's hands, and then he escapes. Tater shouts, "Don't let him get away!" The three begin to search the woods, but as Tater follows the blood trail left by Logan, he feels blood dripping on his shoulder. Logan leaps from a tree branch, stabbing into Tater. Blood begins to fly as Logan stabs into him repeatedly until he finally disembowels him. Logan stares down, grunting, trying to catch his breath, but through choking on his own blood, Tater tries to whisper something. "Dream a dream of pretty prey, and blood red as rage." Suddenly, Logan freezes in place. Baleen, Ann, and Charlie run up asking what happened. But as she tells Logan to look at what he's done, he sits there staring into nothing. Later, he begins to open his eyes and he can hear Rot's voice calling out to him, but he can't move. Inside Rot's gory home, Rot tells him that he's going to help make him remember who he really is. After all, he's a part of the family now. Rot then tells him that it seems that he's forgotten his manners. Let him introduce everyone. He already knows Charlie and Nurse Fester, and you've already met Baleen, Ann, and Tater, though it doesn't look like you've made a good impression on him. Next is dear mother, and finally the old gentleman is my great-great-grandfather, Atremus Nicodemus Rotwell. He was such a huge influence on my life and career. Baleen Ann jumps up asking what they're waiting for. They need to make him pay. Look at what he's done to poor Tater. She pulls out a knife and Rot restrains her, stating, sisters, am I right?" He goes on stating, "Of course, she's not my real sister. She's just the sister that I've always wanted. Even put her personality together myself." Rot then pushes Logan's chair onto a dolly. "She's right, though. First, I want to show you around a bit. The world once stripped me of my family name, which you should be familiar with, right? We're so much alike, Logan." He pushes the chair into the next room with a great machine holding hundreds of brains, telling him, "This is the new and improved God Brain Machine, patent pending, of course. What I did at Dunwich was just child's play compared to this, but this gives you goose flesh, doesn't it?" Logan struggles trying to break free, but as he tries to pop his claws, nothing happens. Rot leans in, telling him, "It's no use. You really have no idea what those fiends at Weapon X put inside your skull. Admirable work, actually." Rot pulls out a giant sheet of paper stating, "They placed a code in your mind to make sure that you played well with others, and I correct that code." He then says, "It's back to business of what you did to Tater. The ranks must be replenished after all." A short while later, Logan is strapped to an operation table with machines hooked into him. He screams out in pain and Rot tells him, "It's okay, let it all out. Rebirth is supposed to hurt. So let's give you a little jolt." Another electrical wave passes through and Logan mumbles, "Kill you." Rot holds out his arms and Nurse Fester hands him a coat hanger and then Rot begins cramming it into Logan's nose. He tells Logan, "You have such an amazing canvas, always blank, ready to be worked on every time I return." After pulling out bits of brain matter, Rot then tells him, "Take the flesh puppets, for example. I took brain samples last time I worked on you, and that's what created those." After throwing the bloody coat hanger into the sink, Rot says, "That should be enough for today. Let's let you get a little rest." After passing out, Logan slowly begins to wake up in a basement full of dead bodies and blood written along the walls. He tries to focus, telling himself that he needs to get out of here, and then a claw pops out. He cuts down the door and he says, "I need to kill them all. Who's first?" Charlie comes charging down the hall and Logan sinks one fist into his chest, telling him, "Oh, you'll do." Then with another swing of his arm, Charlie's head flies off and Logan continues walking. Down the hall, Logan can hear Rot telling his great-great-grandfather that he can't wait to show him what he's making. It's gonna make you strong again. As Mother turns back, she sees Logan and shouts, "He's loose!" Inside Logan's head, all he can hear are the words, "Kill them, kill them." He yells as he jumps through the air, slashing away at Mother and then grandfather. As the blood begins to spread on the floor, Logan hears a familiar voice scream, "No!" He knows that voice, right? As he opens up the door, he sees Nurse Fester holding Melita. Fester shouts for him to stay back, and all the flesh creatures begin to take the shape of everyone he knows. But Logan tells himself, "They're not real. I just have to fight my way through it." After cutting everything to pieces, Melita looks at Logan and asks if he's... But he grabs her, kissing her, telling her, "Yeah, it's me." In another room, Rot is watching a screen with Logan on it, stating, "Isn't that the sweetest? Weapon X programming combined with my own special techniques have breached his mental defenses." But as Logan kisses Melita, Melita begins to change into Bailey Ann. And over the intercom, Rot asks Tater how he's feeling. "More like your old self?" Logan turns his head back and tells him, "Yes, much better." Rot tells him, "That's good because you got work to do. We have interlopers coming to crash our little family reunion right about this very second." And outside of the building is Melita with Special Agent Wells as they start to surround Rot's house. Rot tells him, "Make sure you murder every last one of them, okay?" As the FBI agents begin to make their way towards the house, the chainsaw rips through the doors and Charlie busts out, cutting off the arm of one of the men. Elsewhere, another team calls in to see what's going on, but across them is Bailey and Ann, who asks the agents if they would like to play! Over in the barn, Mother and Nurse Fester hold down Special Agent Wells, and as they struggle, Mother manages to inject him with some medicine. However, outside of all of this, Melita sits and waits in the car, waiting for a word from anyone. She sighs, stating that she wishes he was here. And then she looks back and sees him? But Tater tells her, in Logan's body, "Not really. That old boy is dead." He jumps down onto her and Melita tells him, "I get it, you're not Logan. But even with his unbreakable bones, you got some soft bits." And she swings up, hitting Tater in the groin and running off. As she runs, Tater calls out, "You can't run very far from me!" Tater runs through the woods, tearing a path as he goes, and then Melita runs into someone. She looks up and sees Charlie staring at her, and then Bailey Ann punches her, asking, "Tater, what's taking you so long?" Bailey Ann then throws Melita to the ground and calls out to Logan. But as Tater lifts his knife, Logan's mind begins to recite, "Dream a dream of pretty prey, blood red as rage." Logan's life begins to flash through his mind, the things that he's done, the peoples that he's met, and then there's the pop of claws. He lifts up Baylene's body with those claws and she asks if it's Tater. And Logan tells her, "Nah, your boyfriend's dead." After setting Bailene Ann's body on the ground, Melita asks, Is it you? I brought help." But Logan turns and walks away without saying a word. Over in the barn, Mother asks what they're going to do with their special agent friend now. As Wells' body is hanging there, Fester says that Rot could benefit from having a mole in the FBI. And then they hear a crash. They turn back to see the shadow of Logan, and him stating, "You better hope Rot is good at stitching up guts." A short while later, Rot begins to question why there have been no reports, and when he turns and calls out to everyone, here's a voice. Logan tells him, "You should be calling for your great-great-grandpa too." Rot turns back to see Logan standing there holding his great-great-grandfather by the throat. He throws the body to the ground, breaking the brain container. And Rot says, "Ah, Wolverine!" As Logan starts to walk forward, Rot recites the program code to stop Logan again. but it isn't working. He keeps saying it and he stops asking, "How is it that you anchored yourself mentally?" Logan looks at him and tells him, "You've had this coming for a long time." And just then the flesh creatures grab Logan and pull him back. While Logan starts hacking away, Rot runs off to the next room telling him that they were just made for each other. Each creature that you kill, you're destroying things that you'll never get back. However, as Logan walks through, Rot tells him, "Stop or I'll..." But Logan stabs him in the stomach and asks, "Do what? Scream? Bleed?" Rot tries to tell him, "There's more trigger phases, dozens of them." And Logan tells him, "That's enough. Your family is dead and now I'm killing you." With a swing of his arm, Rot's head flies off. A few moments later, the house begins to burn down and Logan carries Agent Wells outside and tells Melita that he'll live. And if they want to talk to him, he'll be at his school. As he tries to walk off, Melita stops him, asking, "Shouldn't the two of us talk about this?" Logan turns back, telling her, "I don't know what to say. I don't remember who you are." A few days later, Logan returns to his school, and as he walks through the halls, he can't see the faces of those that he's forgotten, the things that Rot pulled out of his brain. He can heal his brain, but he can't heal the memories that he's lost. He's pretty sure the things that he's forgotten are gonna come around and bite him in the ass one of these days. However, back in the woods, Nurse Fester holds her intestines from falling out as she begins to crank a machine. The machine begins to hum and turn on, and from a giant canister, a fleshy blob falls out. That blob stands up. Rot tells his great-great-granddad, "I'm sorry I wasn't able to bring you back, but I'll make you proud one day. First things first, though, let's dig up everything from the Weapon X program." And there you have it, the Wolverine Rot storyline. Now, there is one more storyline at the end of this that completes the Wolverine Goes to Hell plotline that we started forever ago. And then following that, I'm going to be bringing you the conclusion to Wolverine Max, basically a Wolverine storyline with blood, guts, gore, and nudity. It's crazy, and we won't be doing the nudity right here on YouTube, so just to warn you right now. We will definitely be censoring that out. But if you enjoyed this, consider subscribing to our channel here at Comicstorian. We do a lot of things here involved in the pop culture zeitgeist, and that's pretty much what I talk about all the time. If you liked it, consider following me on Twitter at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here. YouTube can be hard at times, where, we don't make any money at all because some idiot made a video that got turned into a way for the advertisers to back out. So we created patreon.com/comicstorian, where for only $1 you get access to about 5 to 6 podcasts, early access to our videos, and sometimes videos that never even get released. We made this as a way for you to continue to support us if we ever truly, absolutely, positively need it, but as a way for us to bring you another platform. So for only $1, you can get access to everything because that's what we wanted to create for you guys. And some people asked how they can support us. So here it is. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.